Today we have a very special podcast. We're going to do a bit of a social media masterclass, and I am joined by two of the most influential people in the industry. But before we get into the platforms we're going to be going through, Paul, Joe, there's something on the table we gained a few months ago now, which we really need to talk about because that is a really big achievement. So how does it feel to go over 100,000 followers on YouTube?
It's fantastic. I mean, it's been the YouTube channel. In fact, we had our 10-year anniversary this year, or might have even been the back end of last year. So it's taken a long time. But what's interesting about it is it isn't like 10,000 a year. You know, obviously you've got that kind of curve, which we'll talk about in this piece. But yeah, it's brilliant. It's a really good milestone. I think I said on a post that I put out, 4 or 5 weeks ago, probably longer than that when we actually achieved it. Next stop 1 million. So let's go for that.
So Joe, come on, how does it feel? You've been waiting for this moment.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's good, isn't it? It just shows it's more potential. Well, it is. It's engineers looking to buy equipment, educate themselves on equipment. So more potentials to be seen for our customers. So yeah, it's good, isn't it? You know, it is good. You work hard, and it's obviously we got a fantastic team, and it's wonderful. Yeah, wonderful to have it. It seems a while ago now, and obviously Paul mentions the bell curve, the compounding effect. It's to the moon. And
it's no secret that video content, when we first started creating video content, the demand for it wasn't anywhere near as great as what it is now. So kind of the growth has come as a result of clearly of demand, but as our company's growth too. So we're in a really good place, with it. And of course, it's a lot more than that as it stands at the moment now.
Now, I'm glad you've talked about the start of the business, because in this podcast, we're going to go through our YouTube channel, the do's and don'ts, how we can help customers, some of the myths people think about us and how we break them. We're going to go through LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and even X, formerly known as Twitter. But let's start right at the very beginning. Let's start with the journey at MTDCNC. Now, I've only been here a few years, and I've seen massive growth, and I've seen what you guys have done in just that short amount of time. So talk us through starting MTDCNC and the journey you've been on.
I mean, well, the video, the social media, I mean, you've got to think that some of the platforms you mentioned started just a matter of a few years prior to MTD. So the company was founded in 2007. And I mean, LinkedIn that we talk about was 2003. I think YouTube was 2005, maybe. I can't remember the exact dates. But we're kind of almost as old as them. Now, clearly, we're not as big as those platforms. But when we first started, those platforms weren't really in our sights as to, what we could expect and what we could see today. However, the intention was to be able to communicate, news, product offers, deals, new technologies and innovations to as big an audience as we could. Now, as obviously these platforms have matured and become part of people's everyday activity, our business has grown, and the two have kind of gone in harmony. Some might call it luck, some might call it good judgment. I don't know, but it's certainly been, it's been part of our journey. Was really, when I founded it, was to be able to communicate effectively and help companies that maybe didn't have the same following, the same reach, the same abilities to be able to promote technologies to an audience that is hungry for it. Because in the days where I was selling equipment, you couldn't go online very easily and find information about things, which now is really what we do. So,
and I think the thing is about MTD as well is we're not just social media marketers. We've all been there. We've all done that. And I think for the people, and there can't be very many anymore, who don't know you guys have got a wealth of experience and knowledge you bring to MTD. So, Joe, talk us about what you did before MTD a couple of years ago.
Not a lot. He didn't do a lot.
Seems a while ago now, but yeah, no, it's a really good point. To get video content that's engaging and gets reach and gets views, and more importantly, minutes watched and longevity. The video needs to look nice. Clearly, it does. But in our world, it's probably as much about the substance, what's being said, as opposed to what it actually looks like. Obviously, you're CNC machinist. Paul was, an ex-Rolls-Royce machinist. But my background's cutting tools. Clearly, I've used machine tools, grinders, and all the rest of it. So yeah, I'd like to think I know a little bit about everything really, but I've done nothing but manufacturing, unfortunately. So that's kind of the success of the company. Obviously, we got the clever people that don't get the credit they deserve behind the camera, and the developers, the editors, and things. But certainly this side of the camera, we all do offer our opinions, I suppose. Offer our opinions and offer some of our background lends itself to what we do, I suppose.
But you have to enjoy that. That's the biggest thing. I kind of split our business in two almost, really, as a marketing company and with marketing platforms and channels and audiences, as well as machinists and engineers and manufacturers that actually enjoy going into machine shops, enjoy going to exhibitions, enjoy looking at technologies, and then bringing those two together, I guess, is what I'd class as the talent of our business. It's really bringing those two together to create the company that we've got and the vehicle that we've got.
And I think there'll be a lot of people like me at home. I used to watch the old Swarf and Chips live show every Friday, who are sat on a shop floor, and I'll put my hands up and say this was me. You sat on a shop floor, think you know everything, think you've done everything, and then you come here and you go, my God, there's another world you've completely missed. So it's great there's a platform that people can see everything, not just 3-axis, 5-axis, mill-turn. Everything's on the same channel. And I think, whether you agree or not, I think the good thing about the MTD CNC YouTube channel is, to me, that is its own search engine for manufacturing.
That is so important. You've hit the nail on the head there. So when we'll talk about Twitter, X, LinkedIn, Instagram, things like that in a minute, I'm sure. But LinkedIn is a search engine, obviously owned by Google, second biggest. Everyone knows that. Sorry?
You mean YouTube? You said LinkedIn.
Sorry, YouTube, yeah. So, yeah, YouTube is a search engine owned by Google, and obviously that comes with a host of advantages as well. But that's there forever. It's there in perpetuity, or certainly as long as you want it. So we get videos that go viral, 2-3 years old, don't we? And that is because, algorithms and things which you never know exactly, but we've got a pretty good handle on it. But, yeah, it's a search engine. So it's a really good point, Tom.
And it's the thing is with YouTube as a platform, as a starting point to what you were talking about, Tom, on these social media platforms, it's the second biggest search engine in the world. There's some crazy statistics out there. 70% of purchases aren't made without viewing something on YouTube, whether it be the one you buy or a competitor to it. So clearly it's the video platform that was founded and is still growing all the time. And there's certain things about YouTube which do fascinate me and should fascinate and excite our customers, is the fact that, once you've published a video, it doesn't just disappear. You publish it. If it's a good video, it's good, strong content. If the engagement's good, and even regardless of those things, really, it still stays in the index. But the better some of those aspects are, the more likely it's going to crop up. I mean, we were talking just before we started this about the fact you've just seen a video that one of the first ones you did, it come up on YouTube. When you said,
video.
Did he have hair in that one?
No,
no beard. Had no beard.
But that happens a lot, and sometimes I take the time when I have it to go through some of the comments that we get on YouTube, and you look and you see a comment on a video and it says, does this machine have this, that, or the other, or does this cutting tool have this, that? And you think, when was, and that video was like published in 2013.
Yeah, it's nuts,
and you go, God, somebody's just sat there and watched something from over a decade ago. There is no other, in my opinion, or people might stand to correct me, really, where you'll find the visibility of older content so readily available, which really goes to show that, I've said it on previous podcasts, you can never really make enough for YouTube, because the more you make, the more opportunity you're going to get to do what we've just said.
Exactly, and to bring it into our world, engineering, precision engineering, manufacturing, engineering.com says, I think it's 82 or 83% of purchasing decisions in engineering are made on YouTube. Video production, including YouTube, obviously, which that's an astonishing fact. I'm not surprised. If I buy anything, that's the first place I go. I want to learn about it. Not necessarily from the manufacturer. If it's a car, I might look at the manufacturer's review of that car, but I'm more interested in the third-party ones. Get under the hood, if you like. But yeah, that's engineering.com saying that.
But I guess the challenges with YouTube as well is, in the flip to that, it's actually the hardest social media platform to actually grow. it is so difficult to get. I mean, certainly to get to where we've got to. I mean, you look how many videos we've published. As a global business working around the world, we've been to every exhibition that's worth going to pretty much in the last decade, publishing 20, 30 videos from these exhibitions. And yet, okay, we're well over 100,000 subscribers now, but it's really, really tough to grow a YouTube channel, as we all know. But once you have it, and you can provide, our clients and people with valuable content the opportunity to be in that shop window, then there is no better place than for video media than 100% YouTube.
But it's a great point, but I just want to go back to what Joe said about, we post a lot of content. A lot of people see it. And a question I get asked a lot is, if I do a video, it goes on your channel, then all of a sudden it's swallowed up and it's gone. But like you guys were talking about, no, it isn't. Because the thing is, people use our YouTube channel because we can see it. We can see the search results. People use our YouTube channel as a search engine. So even if I do a video on this end mill, which then somebody 3-4 weeks or even years down the line go, I'm thinking I might change end mills to this supplier. They just Google that into our search engine on our YouTube, and all them videos are there again. So there's a lot more to what our YouTube channel is used for, which, let's be honest, I didn't even realise until late and seeing some of the analytics that people don't realise it's there to be used for.
It's a really interesting point. I'm glad you brought it up because, yeah, the shop window part of it, you would look at and you might see a video published and then maybe 2 or 3 days down the line, that video is no longer in that shop window. Yet that shop window is just a fragment of what the platform hosts and how content is found. So actually, it's a good point, but it's kind of I won't say it's irrelevant, but it's wrong to think like that. Mm-hmm. Because if you do create a good video and it's put on our channel, once it's there, it's in the index, it's found, it's watched. It will continually get watched. It will continue to be found. As part of this, if the partner that we're producing it for works with us in order to make that happen in terms of it being found and being watched, the collaboration is important too. So the fact that it might, disappear off that shop window, kind of, in my mind, it's a good point, but it's wrong.
Talking about collaborations, we're gonna get onto that a little bit later on, how we can help our customers, but how our customers can help us. So it's a partnership. It's not just a buy and sell transaction. Now, obviously, I've already said I've only been here a few years. You guys have been doing this for a long time, and there's going to be some people at home who want to know some of the questions I have on what are some of the do's and don'ts. It can't have been plain sailing the whole time. There's got to be learning involved to get where you guys have got to. So talk us through maybe a few horror stories if you've got them, or what you've learned over the years.
Well, I would say that the first thing is, if you're specifically talking about YouTube in creating content, of course the narrative's got to be good, and YouTube will take your channel and it will position it in its brain, in its however it works, and it will say that this channel is very much focused on manufacturing, machining, and content similar to that. Which is very advantageous, of course, because then what happens is people that are interested in those topics will find your channel. Mm-hmm. If you're growing a YouTube channel and you're very broad and you've got videos of farming and videos of Formula 1 cars and then football videos, it's going to confuse it. It's going to go, well, I don't know what to present where and when. So the first thing for us, we've always had a very, very narrow platform in terms of we know the focus, and so does YouTube. So that's why our when you look at suggested videos on YouTube, you'll often find an MTDCNC video come up, which again will get more views, which will grow our channel. That's because it knows what we're about and it knows where to present our content. So anybody trying to grow their own platform should 100% consider not to go, I did that video and that didn't go very well, so I'm now going to put one on about somebody else or something else, and just because I want to grow a channel about me and not a specific topic. So that's really important. I think video length time is important, and these are the things we've learned. How long do people watch videos for? I have customers now that say, don't make it any longer than 1.5 minutes because people don't watch it. Well, that's not true. That isn't true. The average YouTube video is between, I think, 6 and 14 minutes. They say is the best length. That doesn't mean there isn't a place for a 2-minute video, but it doesn't mean that there isn't a place for a longer video as well. So that's down to our experience to understand how long a video should be about a specific topic. If a topic is quite sterile and quite boring, I'm going to say things like finance and, you know, these sorts of things. It's hard to capture the engagement, so you might want to shorten it, make it more punchy, more impactful. If a topic is related to a machine tool that's doing something that's pretty challenging and there's some really difficult cutting conditions and people want to understand how they've solved problems, then that's an interesting, engaging video that can last 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long. So it's about picking the right topics, making the videos the right length in accordance with how you feel about their interest in. And that's probably me waffling on for long enough. But that's
it's a pretty good waffle. Pretty good waffle. I agree with what you said. There's a guy, Alex Homose. Most people know him as, you know, his acquisition.com, as a sales expert. And he opened up he's got a massive channel, massive presence on every platform. And he opened it up to talking about things outside of his niche. And views went up, subscribers went up, but every other metric went down. So he stopped doing it. And obviously, because views are one thing, but kind of not irrelevant, but it's more about engagement. It's more about total minutes watched, things like that. So to start with, you're absolutely right. Stay in your niche, whatever that may be. Manufacturing with us, CNC machining, 3D printing, things like that. And there's also an argument, you can't just get a video, think that looks really nice, put it on YouTube and fingers crossed, you know, look at your A/B testing on your thumbnails, all the things that we've been doing. We've been going, well, like you say, 10 years on YouTube, but really, if we're brutally honest about it, how long have we really known what we're doing? The last probably 5 years. Yeah. And it's no coincidence that the channel's going, you know, it's flying ever since. And basically, do all the best practice things. Get a nice thumbnail. Think of a nice catchy title. Do decent copy. Things like that. Don't have too many external links from your video to your website to other social media platforms. Clearly, YouTube isn't going to like that. But it comes down to the content, doesn't it? Would you watch it? Would you watch it? And you used to say you watched it, Swarf and Chips and our other videos, and that's good to hear. We know millions of people do that. But that's really important. Good content. Hopefully, it looks nice as well. So get yourself a nice camera or an iPhone nowadays. But yeah, it's got to look good. It's got to be well positioned. The content's got to be good.
Regularity is really important as well. Don't you know? You'll often find people give up very easily on things in life in general, and they just do. It's the nature, you know. They'll get 6 months into a project and they'll go, do you know what? This isn't really working for me, you know, because they haven't seen the results that they would like or would have expected. Yet you can see we're sitting here, you know, really as a business 16 years on doing what we're doing, and we're at where we're at. But it would have been very easy in 2014, 2015 or even before that to go, do you know what, we've been beating this drum for 5 years or whatever it might be, and you know, we're not getting what we want as the desired result. So regularity, not giving up, persistence, good quality content, of course. Narrative is good, but finding things that people are interested in watching, you know.
And I think you've really hit the nail on the head there with consistency, because there's a lot of times, and especially with YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, they're all the same. The platforms themselves are always out to hurt you. They're never out to help you. So the algorithms will constantly change. We know this. We're constantly chasing algorithms, which, don't get me wrong, we're getting very good at now, as you can see by the growth of not just our YouTube channel, or our channels. And I think, like you said, a lot of people will, a new algorithm will come in and their content will stop, and then, well, why has it stopped? I'm not doing anything wrong. And then they'll give up. But just a bit more persistence, that algorithm will change again.
And I always think the interesting thing about algorithms, and people talk about them, and not just for social media, but for websites and stuff like this, for SEO and what Google's doing, and you know, stay in lane. If you're good at what you do and you want to write good stuff about what you do, shoot good media about what you do, publish it regularly. You know, Google will change its algorithms this way and then that way and then this way. If you kind of just stop trying to chase these things left and right,
Correct.
and just stick at what you're good at, stick at what you know, you will get through the clutter. And
the problem is, it's absolutely right. You get people who, and I've done it, don't get me wrong, I've done it. I've sat there on a night reading algorithm reports and what person A thinks you should do, and person B is like, no, do it this way. Yeah. But the thing is, unless you are the person behind that algorithm, you will never know what it is. But it's just like you said, you've just got to deal with it, and everybody's in the same boat. But the people who are constantly trying to change it, constantly trying to chase it, they're going to hurt themselves more than the people just.
And I think that's why they change it, because they want to stop the gangsters. Gangsters is a term. I mean that in a most respectful way, but they want to stop the people that are trying to win by chasing algorithms. They want people that are naturally producing the right content to present their business in the correct manner to the right people. They want them to win, and they want to get rid of all the ones that are trying to chase the dream in between.
Now, we've talked a lot about YouTube. I've got one more question for you before we move on, and we're going to move on to LinkedIn. But I'd just like to say, if there's anybody at home who is watching, who is struggling with YouTube and really just can't get their head around it, we are here to help. We don't just run our own YouTube channel. If people want help, need help, we can give advice. We can. There's a lot of things we can do that people don't know about, and I just want people at home to know that we are here as an assistant if needed. But just before we move on to LinkedIn, obviously a few months ago we've hit 100,000 followers, and it's just carried on growing. And there's a lot of people asking me, how is it going? How is it carried on going so quickly? But there is a reason behind that, and I know our resident analytics expert, Joe Reynolds, will have an answer to this. So, Joe, how has it gone from hitting 100 and I think what we are now, nearly 150, and it's just flown?
There's some IP. Do you know what I mean? But in terms of the thing, it's a cross pollination between other channels. So using your other channels to grow the other channels, and it's difficult to use YouTube to grow your others, but it's easier to use your others to grow your YouTube, if that makes sense. But the number one thing is, for whatever reason, and the truth is we don't actually know the reason, Google has got hold of our content. It's positioned it in front of more people. When you look at suggested videos, our suggested videos, if you look at any of our videos, the number one referral is always suggested videos, and that never used to be the case. So maybe it's the videos are better. We know they're getting watched for longer. That the number one KPI with YouTube look at, they tell you this themselves, is minutes watched, not views, not likes, not comments. It is minutes watched, and because that's going up, we're on top of this wave, the algorithm, and it won't last forever. That's the truth of it. So whilst we're on this wave, we're going to enjoy it.
And it's a point you make, but you've got to also look in the history of the channel where we've had other spikes. You know, we've had other times when we've had 30,000 subscribers and we've got to 50 quite quickly, and then we've taken a little while to get to 55, and then we've got to 75 quite quickly, and then we've the journey is never, it kind of, I guess if you looked at it from a distance, the graph's like that, but it's got a lot of stops and starts along the way, and it's for the reasons that Joe says. What is really important is to point out about YouTube, and I know people watching or listening to this will have experienced this, is that we hear from companies around the manufacturing industry that will be spending tens of thousands of pounds on productions, maybe £100,000 on a video production, but they can't get it watched. And what that shows you, right? What that shows you is one, the quality productions that we produce, and in the last couple of years, some of the stuff we've been doing is amazing. Has to be matched with the right narrative and the right audience. You have to have all three of those things. Now, if a company produces some amazing content, yet they don't have a good narrative and they don't have a good audience, it isn't going to get watched. And when it doesn't get watched, don't just blame YouTube. Don't just blame all three of those things, because they're the three problems. And for us, we serve to crack quality and obviously narrative. And then those things will give us an audience, and those things will give us the growth that you've seen in recent times, which will continue to flourish.
And I think that is such a big point. Is you can have the best video in the world, you can showcase your product better than anybody else, but if nobody sees it, what is the point?
What is the point?
We're not the only video production company. There's probably 10,000 in the UK. You know what I mean? So it's.
But the interesting thing is, when somebody goes to another video production company, they just provide them with a video. They're not responsible for getting it watched, and I get that. Where does the responsibility then lie? So if somebody buys a video from us, the first question we ask is, okay, well, it's not just about what you want. How are you going to get it watched? Oh, well, I just want a really good video that I'll put on my website. Okay, but you've got to get it. How are you going to get it watched? Well, we can help you get it watched, but most kind of other production outfits will just say, well, there's your USB stick, there's your video, I'm done. That's not the right approach for what we're talking about.
Essentially, there's a lot of people in the UK who can do media production,
and so can we, and we do it all the time. Yeah.
There's not anybody like us who can do the media production to an A-star quality. And also then get that seen.
Get it watched.
So you've got to have the best of both worlds. Now, we've talked a lot about YouTube. So let's move on to LinkedIn, because obviously LinkedIn used to be the go-to platform for businesses and for professionals in the industry. Now, to me, and I can't wait to hear your views on this, to me, LinkedIn is just becoming Facebook. But what do you guys think about LinkedIn and how it's changed over the years?
I don't like it. I'm honest. I used to like it, but it's full of a lot of clutter now. It's becoming exactly what you've said. I mean, I say I don't like it. I like it for certain things, but I don't like it as much as I used to like it. And it doesn't give me the value that it used to give me. In our world, what we're after is finding out, I guess, or trying to educate about new technologies, new innovations, to help people make things faster, better, quicker, to learn about manufacturing. And I find that there's way too much stuff that is noise, that people are just posting for post's sake. And I always just try and post things that are relevant, that I feel, whether it's about our team, because it's professional, whether it's about a solution I've seen or think could help somebody else out, whether it's something they go, wow, that's amazing. And I do that as frequently as I find those things. I just find that with the platform these days, I think it's gone away from that a bit, and I think it's trying to part you where, oh, not that, oh God, you do personal stuff. I don't want to. I love Joe, but I don't want to see what he's doing on a Friday afternoon when he's finished work, doing
Friday night
down the curry house or wherever. That isn't what LinkedIn's about. That's Facebook, which I'm sure you'll talk about. So for me, it's moved. It's still got its place, obviously, from an MTD perspective. It grows massively. It's an important part of our marketing mix. But me personally, that's a kind of personal view, I guess.
Yeah, for me, I've got a real love-hate relationship with LinkedIn. I probably love it and hate it in equal measures, as silly as it sounds. From our business and our customers, it's got huge benefit because, again, I'd like to think we've got influence and people come to our page to learn about technology. They land on things they didn't know they existed it quite often. But take your point, it is getting very Facebooky, and I know why people do that, because if you put a picture of you watching your kid play football or something, that is likely to get more likes, comments than if you something about your working day. But you have to also question the value of those likes. If your metric is to grow your business, to grow your profile, I do question it, if I'm honest. It's not something I particularly do. But that aside, I don't think what LinkedIn knows what it is itself yet, to be honest. The TikTokification, if that's a word, of social media now. The new videos.
The new media player.
Yeah, the new media player on there, which I haven't even announced officially yet. It just it's probably through
just
beta.
Appeared.
Yeah, it just appeared. So I don't think they know what they want to be themselves yet. But there's Paul's point. People talk about the organic reach is down, depending on what report. HubSpot are saying 22, I think, and there's another report that's saying 25% this year. Organic reach is down across the board. Ours is up, which is a good thing, good business metric. But organic reach is down on LinkedIn. And all I would say is, if you like it, enjoy it while it's there, because it won't be there for long. Because every single social media platform, there is no other platform that have let this free organic reach continue. It's always been locked down. X now you have to pay for your tick. Otherwise, basically, no one sees your content. Even going back to MySpace, they did the same thing. organic reach disappear. You're old enough, are you?
I was going to say, showing your age there, Joe.
Can you remember MySpace? Oh, I heard about it. I can't remember it. But yeah, every single social media platform, every single one, organic reach is diminished, and LinkedIn will as well.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me is maybe I was a bit hard on it in a sense, but I personally do. It's sometimes how I feel when I wait. Oh God, this, that, and the other. I just feel that people are in a lot of instances using it for the wrong reasons, or you're able to create this persona of who you are on that platform when you're not necessarily that person. And I find that on social media in general is an issue, and it never used to really be on LinkedIn, but now it is. And I think people see it. I'm a traditionalist. I like the ringing people. Right, you'll say I don't answer my phone maybe, but
traditionalist meaning old.
Yeah, but I like ringing people. I like meetings. I like
face to face.
I like face to face. I like to talk about what we do and how we do it, and some of the good things we do in a real environment, without necessarily having to publish it to all and sundry in order to try and gain some element of kudos. That to me is kind of the negative side. The positive side, as you rightly said, Joe, I think it has changed our industry to a degree. I think there's a lot more visibility on things, and I guess it can help people that maybe don't have as deeper pockets to get their content or visibility seen, and they can grow their own profiles and channels in the same respect as somebody that does. So it kind of levels a playing field to some degree. So some will favour and benefit from that. And I guess then an audience might benefit from that, because it gives them a level playing field in when they're reviewing and listening, and they can choose who they choose to listen to. But our pages on MTD continue to grow. I think it's a balancing act. Joe knows a lot more about this than me. But I think that as a platform, it's important to our business. Our customers get visibility through it, and their posts get good engagement. The point you make is very valid, Joe, about what do you perceive as good engagement, and what is the audience you're looking to try and get to? Because again, we will get the questions sometimes. Someone will say, that post you did for me only got 45 likes. Yeah, I did the same post on my page and it got 60. That means the post on my page went better than it did on yours. Absolute crap. That's not true. That is not true. If you then look at the engagement, the impressions, the visibility through the MTD, call it network, call it page, we'll knock that into a cocked hat. Honestly, it will be triple,
10,
quadruple, 10, 15 times.
I think the problem is as well is people make decisions too much on what they can see rather than what they can't see. So if I look at a post and it's got 10 likes and you think, oh, that post's not done very well. Actually, if you look how many people have actually watched it, and we had this conversation before.
Who were the 10 likes?
But we had this conversation before, Joe, where you like LinkedIn. I see you on it every now and again. Not daily. But like you said, you don't like every post you look at. But yet, you're still interacting with that post. You're still reading that post. You're still watching that post. But you don't like it. And the thing is, I think sometimes people don't like a post just by accident. They just scroll past it. And I like what you said about LinkedIn having a love-hate relationship with LinkedIn, because, to be honest, I feel exactly the same way. I can put the same post out exactly the same time, exactly the same. One will do really well, one won't. There's no rhyme or reason to that. But like, somebody will put a picture of themselves in a coffee shop and it's blown up. Now, what benefit?
And that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
That all that says to me, I find that really disappointing, because I think, like, you will put, let's say, for example, Tom, you will post some machining footage of machines cutting and doing things, which is interesting, engaging, and also might give someone an overview or an idea of how they could cut apart, or a tool they could use, and which is value. It's in my mind, that's value. Oh, okay, listen, how's he done that? Look at the way that thing's indexing. Look at the way that tool's cutting. A picture in a coffee shop, as you quite rightly say, I just look at it and go, well, how's that happened?
It just comes back to
but it's got zeroing. It depends what your class of engagement
I get
like. That means it generally means nothing within a certain extent.
It comes back to we all have business value metrics. Does that give me? What as LinkedIn is meant to be LinkedIn was always meant to be the business Facebook. It looks like Facebook. It's in the same sort of style. It's easy to use, but it's meant to be. Facebook is where you put all your personal stuff. Do you on a Friday night in a coffee house or a curry place? That goes on Facebook. But Joe at an open house talking about that tool that's full slot through D2, that's what I want to see, and that's what other business professionals want to know about, because they might learn something. And
well, I guess you could argue that post in the coffee shop or the one in thing could be talking about how that business has grown from this to that, and the profitability.
It's value,
here.
Isn't it?
It
just
value.
Depends.
Yeah, we're probably using the pictures as which are important, because that's what drives a lot of engagement, as we know. But yeah, I guess it's the narrative, it's the meaning, it's what you're aiming, what you're trying to do by that sort of post.
I just think LinkedIn's kicked himself with one thing, though, because as we all know, they've now brought in the verification status. You can verify yourself as, if I'm talking to Paul Jones from MTDCNC, you're verified, so I know I'm talking to you, which is great. I love that idea. I think it's a brilliant idea. But with that should come a bit of respect on yourself. So if I'm talking to you, your profile picture should be you in a business environment.
What are you saying? My Tom Cruise picture should be changed?
I don't know. Maybe not. But it's not you with a Facebook filter with big googly eyes and a silly hat on, because.
Well, it's this virtual world, isn't it? It's like you go places now, and we go to loads of events, and it's great because we see people physically, we meet them, we say hello, we know who they are. There's a part of the brain that registers what that person looks like, who they are, and all the rest of it. When you're living in this virtual bubble where all this communication is, you get people communicating with people on these platforms and others that have probably never met each other. They don't know them. No. Yet they're corresponding and commenting and stuff. And then if they went to an event, they probably wouldn't even
just walk straight past them.
I mean, what's that about? This is the kind of the pitfalls to me. Is
the danger of this conversation. I do have got a love-hate, but honestly,
I think we're going more on the hate side of it right now.
No, I'm going to get on the soapbox here, and apologies in advance. Have you seen these new badges? I was one of the first people to get one of these badges. They disappear after 28 days, and they should keep going on it. So if you've not seen it, so basically, LinkedIn openly admit their questions are written by AI. So AI.
Oh yeah, you have been chosen as one of the few experts in your field to answer this question.
Complete nonsense. So basically, what they do is they come up with. You can go on there. It's CNC machining, it's accountancy, probably gardening, anything you can think of, all written by AI. They admit that it's an open AI plugin. And you go on there and you add value. And if you do that for 28 days and you get so much engagement, you get a plaque saying like top CNC machinist, top marketeer.
top voice in marketing, top voice in CNC machining.
I had one for, I wouldn't have been the first, probably hundreds, maybe thousands. But out of all the people I know, I had the first one. And what's happening now is people are using AI to answer it. So you've got AI writing a question, and I can go on there. In 28 days, I could be a top accountant. I can't add up. But genuinely, I tell you the shame with that is I would argue Tom should be top voice in CNC machining, but so could my wife. So could my wife, and it's a shame because I look on there and some of these people got these badges. They blooming deserve them. Yeah. But I've seen people with badges. All I know. They know nothing about it. Honestly, they know nothing about it.
I get that with the top. Have you seen? So the top badge out of the badges, if you want to talk that, is top voice on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but if you've got one of them, that LinkedIn give you that's an invite only thing.
But this is what I mean. But sometimes you see him, so you'll see like Stephen Bartlett's got one.
Yeah.
But then you'll see somebody who's got 20 followers because his mate works at LinkedIn.
Maybe that's an invite.
And so I just on this point before we move it on, otherwise I think we're going to be here all day. It's interesting
though. Keep going. I mean, I'm quite happy.
But I tell you, it is.
I just feel like their requirements need to be stronger. For you to get a badge to showcase you are a top voice of something doesn't go on 4 questions you've answered.
Because like you said, it's the downside of AI. I genuinely, if I could be asked, I'd do it as an experiment. I could be a top accountant. I could be a top electrician. I could be a top anything. You just copy and paste, you copy and paste the question into ChatGPT, into Twitter, whatever AI tool you use, and just keep doing that for 28 days, and they give you a badge. It's all bollocks, honestly.
Yeah. So where's the vetting of that?
There isn't. That's the problem.
There is no.
That is the problem.
LinkedIn themselves write the question using AI, which I don't endorse anyway, and then we should do is test. You know, why don't you become a top baker?
Already am.
You be a top.
I don't need a qualification.
You be a top hairdresser, and I'll be a
Never
top
eaten one of my
accountant.
cakes,
But
have
no,
you?
honestly, I
Why
promise
do
you.
I have to be the hairdresser? Why can't you be the top hairdresser?
Yeah, well, the people watching at home, have a play with it. But I can assure you, if you do it for 28 days, you'll get a badge of your choice.
And if you have, write and tell us what you've become the top of, because there will be, and like you said, there will be somebody who goes, well, if I can get I feel like there's a bigger problem here than we're even talking about. Is like,
oh, just before you go on, there are lots of people with these badges that bloody deserve
yeah,
them.
we're not saying that. We're not saying that.
Keep doing your good hard work. I'm not saying everybody does it, but the vast majority of people I see,
But what's to stop you, Joe? And I'm picking on you just because you've already picked on yourself here. You've just said you can't really add, but yet you could get.
I'm actually good at maths, I was joking.
But yet you could get the top accountancy badge. So what is to stop you doing that and then applying at a top accountancy firm and saying, well, I'm a top accountant on LinkedIn? What's to stop that becoming a problem further down the line?
Well, it's a conversation for another day about AI just disrupting everything and lowering barrier. Accountancy is a bad one. You're gonna have to be qualified and all the rest of it, aren't you? But genuinely, you can be anyone you want to be on LinkedIn with those badges now. Anyone you want to be.
And that's a bit scary to me. That is a bit scary to me.
It's a shame.
I think it's a really interesting topic, and I think that I think we'll see the landscape of that platform change a lot. What I don't want to suggest is that I still think when you look at the benefits, the value of the platform that has arrived over the last few years have been pretty significant. And there is no doubt that our business would have benefited and our business would have won business respectfully and in the right way because of the platform. I guess from my perspective, it's just there are these things around the edges that
Well, maybe that
turns me off of it. Because my platform, which you'll come on, is TikTok. I love it. I've got nothing negative about TikTok.
But the problem is, right, if and as the CEO of MTDCNC, you are a very influential person. You're a thought leader in the industry. And if LinkedIn's turning you off to it, well, wasn't LinkedIn made for people in your situation more than anything?
Well, it was 2003, wasn't it? It was first launched. The first profile was a CEO on there, and it was very much a recruitment vehicle, which again
still is. That's where they make the money.
It still is. But it's just drifted. But yeah, I think that that was the intention, and I think the intention is now what it is, to get a lot of people on it, to get everybody on it, and then raise money and
do you think obviously when LinkedIn would have started, same as when MTD was started, you would have had a clear roadmap? This is where I want to go. And Joe said it earlier, and I will try my best to get this word right. TikTokification. Do you feel like sometimes, just before we move on, because I have got some more questions to ask you, customer related, do you think sometimes other platforms determine how older platforms move forward?
Definitely, 100%. Every single social platform at the moment is copying TikTok. Every single one.
We're going to get onto TikTok because I know that's Paul's favourite place to be. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I've seen him dancing on train. But we'll not talk about that in this.
Before you do that, all right, that's the bad side. LinkedIn, used correctly, is a fantastic business tool.
Well, we're going to get onto that.
We win a lot of business off the back of LinkedIn. We've had, in fact, it's Friday today. This week, I've had a customer sell a product off one of our posts on LinkedIn. And that's probably happening, if not daily, weekly. So used correctly, it should be. It's a fantastic tool. But just you have to get through all the noise, all the BS. I'm
talking about it from a personal. I'm talking about my personal perspective. I'm not talking about business pages and everything.
Well, let's talk about it as a business profile. Let's now ignore our own personal qualms with it, and let's look at it as a business page, because there's some pretty strange things with LinkedIn that I don't really get. Joe, this is down to you, but like the percentages of videos watched with no sound.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It is an interesting one. Again, just various reports out there, but I can tell you it's high. It's as high as 90, as low as 80. But somewhere in the middle of there, that's the percentage of people, and that's across social media, by the way. I don't know TikTok, but the majority of people on what we class as social media, not YouTube, that is social media, but it's not at the same time, actually listen with no audio. So it does become a percentage game.
Some would argue, though, that if that 10-20% that listen to it, it's that kind of... It's that kind of, what's the thing I'm looking for? 19 good things and one bad, or would you rather?
Exactly.
20,
it's
that. So
100%. But a lot of people use LinkedIn as a. Are we still talking LinkedIn?
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people use LinkedIn as a billboard. It's basically McDonald's still advertise on billboards, and there aren't many people that don't know who McDonald's are. And essentially, people are just posting 2, 5, 10, 20 times a day, some of these people. And people aren't, I don't believe, engaging with all that. They like the bloke, so they'll press like or whatever, or lady, but they're just scrolling through it and they're using it as a billboard, which maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But I still think it comes back to value. It comes down to value. People are buying kit as a result of what we do. And I think for the people at home, if you use good content, whether it's got audio or not, good content, whether that be a nice image, good copy clearly, or a video, people will engage and they will listen to it. But the statistics are against you. So as a percentage, it has to be good content. It always comes down to being good content. Good content will get read or it'll get watched.
I was going to say what's interesting about this is because our telemarketers, we've actually had one telemarketer we've had for the last 5 years, and that they work like 3 days a week ringing around. They ring around the machine shops, check what they're buying, what they're doing, and all that. Do they know MTD? Have they heard of us? Have they watched this? And progressively, more so in the last 2 years, the feedback is, I follow the MTD page on LinkedIn. I've seen the videos on LinkedIn. So there is definitely in the last couple of years, I know our page has grown, so you would expect that, but there is this kind of tendency now, I think, for people that maybe wouldn't have used the platform to are now migrating towards it. They've heard of it, and they will use it to watch stuff, and they will use it to read stuff. So we're definitely seeing as a business a continual uptick in our telemarketers saying, we got this obviously, as if anybody was this tick box, where have you seen or where have they heard from? And we're seeing a lot more ticking LinkedIn to say that they've seen it on it. Whereas you go back 5 years, it would have been, and I couldn't tell you whether that's because we had 2,000 followers on our page 5 years ago, and now we've got almost 60,000, whether the result of that increase is because of that follower growth, or the result of that increase is because more people are using the platform now because it's more readily available and all the things that we talk about. So it does serve a massive benefit as a company page to our business, and for the thing you say, Joe, about people buying stuff, I have no doubt some of our customers that we work with, if it wasn't for us posting their videos on LinkedIn, then they wouldn't have sold some of the things they've sold. So
and again, talk all day about it. It comes down to the science. How many times does something need to be seen before they actually inquire about a product? 6, 7, 9 times, depending who you listen to and report. But yeah, there's so much science behind LinkedIn. How often do you do a salesy against an information post? Some say it's 3 to 1, some say 4 to 1, some say 5 to 1. But yeah, it's.
Now I know we've spoke a lot about LinkedIn. We've spoke about the bad things about it. We spoke about some of the good things about it. But what I sort of want to reiterate to the people at home that are watching it, yeah, we have spoke badly about it in some points, but there's a lot of things we speak badly about, and it's because we've had to deal with them. We've had to go through the clutter. We've had to get through the mess. So we are now in a very good position on LinkedIn that we can help not just get our own content seen, but we can help our customers get theirs seen, because I know there's a lot of people out there who will post for you. They'll help you get your posts out, but that's it. It's just like, we can run your social media, job done. But that doesn't help anybody. The problem is and it comes back to the point of, you can have the best video in the world, but if you're not getting it seen, what's the point in having it? So just quick, Joe, before we finish our LinkedIn section, otherwise I do feel like we're going to be here all day.
Picking on me.
I am sorry, Joe. You're closest to me. How can we actually help our customers as well, who are battling the same fights we've had? Now, we've had these fights. We've won these fights. That's why we are positioned in a very good place, like Paul said. what can we do for our customers, and how can we help our customers? And if a customer hasn't got the time to run LinkedIn, can we even help by running their LinkedIn pages?
Well, in truth, I didn't want this to be a sales pitch for anything. I want this to be give out education. People can make their own choices. But we do run LinkedIn pages for companies, well, social media for companies. They can help them to do it themselves, clearly. You know, if a customer speak to us, we can advise. There's a lot of science behind LinkedIn. And I will say, we're picking on me because I'm on this podcast, but we've got better people than Joe Reynolds, our team, you know, Stuart and everyone else that's part of that process are better than me. It's the time of the day, it's the copy, it's the image, it's how many images and where those images positioned, vertical, horizontal. There's lots of science behind that. Frequency.
But again, that's stuff you guys have learned over the years.
Yeah, I've had a lot of black eyes over the years. Do you know what I mean? It's really hard. But our team are fantastic. They're the best. If I was going to say anything salesy, it would be, if you're building an extension, go and look at your builder's work, but he's done for everybody else. So what I mean by that, the analogy means LinkedIn expert with 2,000 followers, their business page has got 500, 1,500 followers. You know, I'd like to think we've got a bit of kudos, if that doesn't sound arrogant. You know, we know how to build pages. We've done it for us. We've done it for clients as well. So yeah, we're probably a good place to start.
And I would just like to, sorry Paul, I know you're about to jump in, I can see you over there. But you've just said something there that really struck me is, it's all right looking at our business page. It's all right looking, we've grown our business page. But you only have to look on this panel here that we have also grown our personal pages. So we're not sort of preaching to the choir, we can do this, we can do that, but we haven't done ourselves. We've gone through the struggles ourselves and then done it through the business page. So we have the experience between us, and it's not just us sat here. We've got other people with 20, 30, 40, 60, 70,000 followers on LinkedIn. We have expertise on ourselves, but also as a team. So we bring everything together, and I feel like that's such a strong place to be, especially in this industry, because I don't think there's anybody like us who has this vast experience.
Show not tell, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think one of the points we haven't touched on this before you move on from LinkedIn, which again is a bit of a bugbear of mine, is am I talking like loads of negatives?
That's the trouble I have as
We're
well.
not
But
saying-
it's a great
I'm
platform.
I
keeping
don't
out
want
of
it to
this
come
one.
across like it's candid. It's true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's things that we live and breathe every day.
But the problem is, if you've got these problems, other people in your situation will
this
have
is
them.
a bit more on the educational side, in the sense that some of the things that we've learned, we will create content for a client. We will post it, and that has to be a partnership. So our client will have maybe 10 sales representatives, 5 administrators, staffs, an accountant, and this, that, and the other, and they're all on LinkedIn because they all are. Yeah, that group of people plus us becomes a community for that post, or should be. But people don't often see it like that. People think, right, well, if you're posting something about our business from us, or around a solution you videoed, or an MTD as a team, we collaborate and we go, you like it, we like it, you share it, we'll share it. That's just the way the world goes around. It's how we help.
Oh, as a quick example.
Well, let me just finish this, Tom. You can jump in. And so we collaborate as a team, and then what happens is we go to our client and say, look, we've posted this. Collaborate with it, because the post will get far more engagement, it will get a lot more traction, you'll get a greater benefit from it. But there's this kind of psychological thing where they go, no, we don't want to maybe like an MTD post or share one of a post that it's all about us. That's crap too, because if you don't do that, you're not getting the benefit of our service. Yeah. Our service is a partnership. If we're working with you and we post something that we've created for your business and you don't support it, or your community, your side of the fence doesn't support it, then all you're doing is potentially investing in our services and not actually getting the best out of it. It's crazy. You need as a team. It's like, right, guys, you've got 20 people, we've got 10. If within the first half an hour of that post going out, we've all engaged with it, then that post is going to fly.
I also say 1 + 1 = 5.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Well, a quick example, and we spoke about this earlier, is Joe, you've got 30,000 followers on LinkedIn. So have you, Paul. And let's not beat around the bush here. You guys have been in the exact same industry and this exact same company for so many years. You go to the same shows, you talk to the same people, you know this. You know all the industry leaders, you know everybody between you, but out of 30,000 connections, you only have 8,000 that are the same.
Exactly, yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and
everybody else is going to have other people they haven't got.
And when we post about, and this is another point to make, is like, we might have said this already, I can't remember, but someone says, oh, well, yeah, you posted and you got 30 likes and I got 45. That all comes down to what you're talking about. It's the fact that, no, it's not about that. It's about the people that have engaged, rather than it's having 30 good people engage with something.
It's complicated, isn't it?
There's a lot to it. There's a lot of people don't realise.
There's so much value in having 30 good people engage with a post compared to 100 that have no following, no engagement of their own profiles. All this stuff, unknitting it all, the reality is, when we post things on behalf of our clients, the point I'm getting to is that if we don't work together on it, you won't see the same result.
Got to be a partnership and a collaboration.
We'll have posts. We've got 100 likes, which, depending who you talk to, is a lot or it's not a lot. And that can have 100,000 impressions.
Yeah.
Whereas, obviously, we run pages for other people. They might get 100 likes. There might only be like 5, 10, 15, 20,000
People say, I got 40,000 impressions on that post. Do you want to see some of our MTD stuff? It's like well over 100,000 impressions, but you won't see that when you're scrolling through. You won't see it.
They should show it, shouldn't they?
They should.
They should put it on it. I don't know why they don't. They should say,
Yeah.
But
we'll
conclude, I love LinkedIn.
Yeah, me too.
Joke aside, it is frustrating. There are some things. I don't like the AI element of any social media, but LinkedIn in particular. Don't know what they're doing there. But used correctly, done correctly, is a fantastic bloody tool.
I was going to say, yeah.
So
but the
everybody
problem is
should
there's
use
too
it.
many people that are using it incorrectly, divisively, for things that really, in my mind, shouldn't be used.
And
for.
there's
But used correctly.
There's a lot of people who don't use it correctly, so they don't get the results they think, which means they stop using it.
Yeah.
And it's again, we've been there, we've done that. I don't know about you guys. I've well and truly thrown my toys out the pram quite a few times, not just with LinkedIn, with quite a few social media platforms over the years. Yeah. But you learn from it and you carry on, and that's just what we've done individually and as a company. So we've got the expertise on both sides of the pond, if you want to say.
Yeah, it's changing quickly. The new video player, it's going to be sold. HubSpot or somebody else rumoured to buy it. It's going to be sold. It's going to change quickly. So just use it where you can.
And just keep an eye out for the updates, and we'll see what happens. Now, Facebook. Now, I promised you I am not picking on you here, because the next one I'm going to pick on Paul anyway. So, but Facebook, we've sort of said LinkedIn's turning into Facebook, and Facebook is for personal posts, personal things, keeping up with the family, sharing pictures of the kids or football. But is there a place on Facebook for businesses?
Do you want to go with me? I think if you look at, there's a lot of data around Facebook for business, and I actually think it's a fast emerging platform. Is it the oldest one we're going to talk about today?
It's the biggest one.
Yeah, it's the biggest one.
It's the biggest one. It's not a YouTube build. It's one of the oldest, certainly, we're going to talk about today. And I think it's having a bit of a renaissance, actually. Do you know what that means, Tom?
No.
Okay, it's coming back. It's getting bigger. It's getting better. I think whether you like a platform is kind of irrelevant, as we just talked about in the previous one. But to me, it's coming back. It's got a really good, accurate algorithm in terms of the ad platform and things like that. But yeah, no, I think to answer your question, short answer, definitely, most definitely. But again, done correctly, good content, utilize reels, long form, short form. It's definitely having a renaissance. Personally, I don't share I do comment on some customer things personally, but I do keep my home life slightly separate. But from a business perspective, you should definitely be on Facebook. Definitely. Meta, a massive platform. I do like how you should be talking about Meta, you know more than we do. But I like the fact that for a business perspective, you can be active on Instagram and it automatically goes through to Reels and vice versa and things like that. So yeah, I think it's having a bit of a renaissance in the B2B world. But again, in terms of a business page, really hard. Organic reach is really low.
And I think you've sort of hit the nail on the head there. I've come into this and said, look, let's talk about Facebook, but I think that's the wrong way of talking about this. If after what you said, Joe, I think we really need to talk about Facebook and Instagram together, because obviously they're both owned by Meta, and they are now doing a lot more collaborative things. So if you post, or if you can wade through the setting after setting after setting, You can now have it set so you post on Instagram, that goes straight on Facebook. It runs itself. But I see, and there is a specific company I see who are using the sponsored feature a lot on Facebook, more than any other platform. And this is a big company, and I always wonder if it works. And like you said, I think there is definitely a place for Facebook. Facebook videos apart from Instagram, but LinkedIn, YouTube. Facebook is the second easiest platform to get views on. So getting your content seen is the second easiest platform.
It is.
But are you hitting the right people?
You're not necessarily. The algorithm, the paid platform's pretty good, but the algorithm, I see all sorts of rubbish. You know, it's when you look at, I know you've got the pixel element, third and first party data and all that argument, but it's, when I look at it, some of the stuff I see, it's...
That's because of what you watch.
I can assure you, if my wife's watching, it's not. But no, joking aside, you've got to be on all these platforms we're going to talk about today.
Isn't there as an interest, just listening, because I'm not a big Facebook person. I'm not a big Instagram person. I did have a Facebook profile up until a couple of years ago. My page got hacked, and then I never reinstated it. But I have... my wife uses Facebook, and it's very, very good for what's happening in the local community, what events are happening locally, keeping in contact with uncles, cousins, and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
brilliant. But you're talking about business on it. Are we seeing a pattern emerging here that Facebook is becoming? We say, oh, Facebook isn't, and it never used to be 2 years ago. Not business, but now business is creeping in the same way that LinkedIn used to be business and now personal is creeping in. Are we seeing this? Are all these platforms just merging into?
No, I'd agree with that.
On all aspects?
Facebook now. You'd like Facebook again now. It's TikTok basically.
Is it?
So, but basically you've got.
He's on it already. Look, see his phone under the table.
It is, but you've got it's short and long form content. But you know what it's like. You'll go and watch the algorithm's not as accurate, I will say, but you'll be watching a video. And then it's the next. Then you scroll. Then you go from horizontal. Then you get a video that fills the screen. Then you're there all day,
Is that right?
aimlessly scrolling through content that you don't really consume.
Yeah.
But it's off the pit. We're going around your question. But yeah, businesses clearly should be on Facebook. But again, good quality content, positioned to the right people.
With by accident, Paul's actually hit the nail on the head with the whole groups of your community groups are on there, that sort of thing. Facebook at the moment now seems to be getting a lot bigger on the groups and page side of it, where there's machining groups on there. There's groups on there with millions and millions of followers in there, because don't forget, everybody is on Facebook, and
90% of the world. They say.
I don't want to get into Industry 4.0 and the skills gap. I don't want to get into any of that, but all young adults are on Facebook. Everybody between the ages of 16, 17, 18.
Facebook? See, my kids like Facebook. What's that?
There's so many on there.
Or is it coming back in that age?
It's coming back, which for businesses who are struggling for staff, that sort of thing, it's a great place to be, because you can find... And
you're talking about local businesses.
Yeah, so this is what I mean. So like you were saying about community groups, I'm a big advocate of Facebook. I always have been. It's where I put my first ever machining video on Facebook, and that just ticked a box for me, and that was it. We know the story. Game over from then. But so I use Facebook a lot, and I use it the same as you do, keeping up with friends, family. But then I've got the engineering side of Facebook, which obviously, like you said, Joe, trying to keep them apart used to be hard because your pages used to be sort of intertwined. Where now they've split them, so you can have your personal side and you can have your business side. Okay. And I feel like Facebook is really now, after a bit of a slump, it was going downhill. Every other platform. Don't forget, it was the biggest platform ever at one point. And I feel like they sort of rode that wave a bit too long. Instead of bringing in new features, they were like, "Oh, we're the top, we'll leave it," and everybody just came up and up and up, and then went past them. And now they've gone, "Oh no, we've got to do something." So I feel like they are now trying to get businesses back onto Facebook to showcase. Like making business pages is free. It's really quick. It's really easy. They even give you a template to go through. It's a really quick and easy platform to get onto. And I feel like with what you were saying about communities, you find out what's happening in the neighborhood. Businesses can now beyond them community groups and say, oh, we're looking for an apprentice, we're looking for staff. And where I live, I live a little bit out into the countryside, but then near me is quite an industrial area. And there's a lot of companies on there. Oh, I'm looking for somebody with this card. I've got this many hours. I've got. So I feel like Facebook has definitely got a place for businesses, but in a different way to the way LinkedIn does it. Yeah, it's more of a recruitment for trying to hit people in their area.
It's brilliant for that. We've all got insert your town name for sale, haven't you? You know, and you know, every time you go on blaming Facebook, it's like someone's trying to sell me a pair of trainers. You know, but joking aside, if you're a hair salon, it's the number one platform to be on, type thing. But it's a really good point you made. Obviously, the groups now doesn't come up in your feed. You have to go to the group, which is a bit of a shame.
But they've done it to try and keep it away from the personal side now. So you are a bit more divided. You don't just, like you're saying, it used to be you'd be scrolling your personal page, and I'm not saying I have these guys, but it'd be like Paul's out swimming, Joe's doing at the curry house again, group. Yeah. Where now it isn't. You've got to go to that section.
Well, by not being on it in these communities, like we were walking down the street the other night, and there's all the leaves all over the pavement, and I was just kicking them and just like, you know, getting this kind of weird satisfaction about kicking these bunches of leaves. And
was there a post come out? Who's this man?
My wife's like, you can't do that. You can't do. People are going mad all over Facebook in the group about the fact that they're sweeping these leaves every night to keep them off the paths and off the roads.
And then there's a guy in an MTD t-shirt kicking them all over.
It's like, it's in the group.
Does anyone know this man?
Everybody's in the village group. You'll get, you know, and there's me kicking all the leaves everywhere. And I'm like, well, I don't use it, so I don't know, but it's because she tells me. So for communities, I think it's fantastic. I would question, and I don't know, you'd correct me, but if you took the vehicles, and you're going to talk about Instagram now, I'm sure, if you took Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn and YouTube as a business in our sector, wouldn't it be the last one you'd promote through?
No, probably X now would be my last one, but depends. If I'm a local tooling distributor, there's a pretty good argument to say I'd do some damage on Facebook. But yeah, it would be. It's fair to say it's down there priority wise.
I think it's there, so you've got to be on it.
Yeah.
And then so obviously we've talked a lot about Facebook. But let's talk about the other side of Meta, which is Instagram. Now, where do you see Instagram in the industry? Because I've got quite a strong feeling on Instagram.
Well, I would see it where you positioned what you've done in the past, which is machining footage. It's videos. It's short videos. You know. I guess when I look at the two platforms, it's very much like TikTok. Can I tell the difference between the two? I prefer TikTok a lot more than Instagram, maybe because I use it more. But I think from, you know, showing off machining footage, showing off new ways of cutting stuff, new products, and all the rest of it. Sure, I think Instagram's great.
I don't think it's the place most businesses would sell something, but I think it's the place most businesses would get an inquiry from, because it's like, wow, I've just seen your end mill. Rip through that still. I didn't think that was possible.
Agree.
We had, well before you started, so we're up at probably 250,000 across out the two channels now, aren't we? But I'm going to guess we had 20,000 subs, and somebody sold the machine back then. Do you know what I mean? So it is happening. It is happening. It's just another place to be seen, another billboard, if you like. I do agree it lends itself to cutting tool manufacturers, maybe machine tool manufacturers, everyone really. But just again, the content. What you can't do is get the video you put on YouTube, put it on Instagram, and go, it's going to work, as it won't.
No, but I think like Paul
it's the right
said,
content positioned in the right manner for the right people.
And I think, like Paul said, it's a great place to start a video. And we've done this before. We'll take a Lindsay video, and you take the first 20 seconds of it, and I think it's a really good place to get somebody interested in the video to then send them to another platform. And I think it's one of these where you've got to be everywhere. You've got to be everywhere, and you've got to. Again, I think we'd all agree YouTube is definitely number one. Yeah. It's definitely the strongest. It's where most people will see content, but Instagram definitely has its place. Like I said, I do think machining footage, machine tools, cutting tools, it's a good place for them. If you want to talk
think
about
it's massive.
software,
I think it's. I think there's the battle between LinkedIn and Instagram. To be honest, is second place. Some would say, oh, well, no, LinkedIn is because I go on it every day. But I still think you got to look at Instagram as Instagram's massive. Instagram as a platform. I mean, across all demographics. So
again, good ad platform because again the Meta thing, WhatsApp, things we haven't talked about, and the other one name escapes me, but it's it's a great platform, and it's no coincidence, without giving our secrets away too much, as our LinkedIn profile has grown with a lot of help from you and your team, Tom, our YouTube channel has grown. Read into that what you will. As you can use one channel to grow another one type thing, and that's what everyone should be. Common sense, really, isn't it?
Yeah. But again, for people at home who have tried it and failed, it's not something that's happened overnight. We've had to learn from our mistakes. We've had to try different things. We don't just put a video out and go, yep, that's going to be perfect, it's going to go viral. There's a lot more behind the scenes that between us we've figured out, not being stressed and reading things.
I could name, and I wouldn't, but I could name 10 companies that have tried to create another MTD style vehicle with a cross-platform audiences, and none of them are around now. Because it's just the reason we're around is because we've persevered, we've worked hard, we've got good people. The other day I was in Germany and a guy said to me, "How do you manage to retain all these superstars?" And it's like it's not easy, but we're all in it. We're all after the same end game, which is we know this works, but we're all prepared to persevere and work these platforms hard.
And we enjoy what we do.
We enjoy what we do. You haven't spoke about TikTok yet.
No, I'm leaving that one till last because I know you're down.
We haven't got time for TikTok.
No,
we've got one. We've got one more subject now. Well, just before we get onto TikTok, because I know this is going to be quite a good subject to go through, because there's a lot of things people think TikTok is for and not for, but we'll get onto that. But Twitter, well, X, formerly known as Twitter, we've seen with recent political changes. I'm not going to go political at all, but with recent political changes, a lot of big companies, a lot of people stopped posting to it. So is there still a place for it in manufacturing? Is there still a place for it in video media? What do you think?
It's a funny one. Historically, I've always loved Twitter. And I say Twitter, not X. It will never be X. But I can tell you, as we sit here today, it is the hardest platform to grow any sort of metrics.
Unless you pay.
Followers, retweets, impressions, it's super difficult. Since Elon's had it, he has locked it down. It's really hard. You have to pay to get your tick, then it boosts you a little bit. But we won't recognise Twitter in 2 years' time. It won't be X. It won't be
it'll be TikTokified, as you call it, won't it?
TikTokification.
Well, it will be, but you'll be buying stuff, you'll be trading crypto across it. It's going to be there's one in China which we don't get over here, and is we said it's going to be that for the West, and basically you'll be buying stuff on it. If I use some money, we'll be tapping our phones and transferring money on X. But in terms of bringing it to the manufacturing environment, of course it's got value. Again, you need to be on it, but it's got to be the right content. Just posting a video on it doesn't work, I can tell you that. It needs to be, is it 240 characters? Unless you're premium, then it's pretty much unlimited, I think. So you want to write about that video and put some meat on the bone on that video, more so than any other platform. But yeah, it's a social media platform. You need to be ever present. You need to be cross-platform, because this time next year it might be the best one. You might be saying, "Oh, have you seen Twitter? Have you seen the new features?" So you need to be ever present. You need to be on them all. But again, the right content for the right platform.
I think you're right. We need to be on them all, and we are. I don't use it. I don't think any of my customers that I know or my colleagues really use it. The people I do see that do use it tend to be news channels, news readers, journalists. We would say obviously what we do is an element of journalism within our sector. But if you're watching, mainstream news, they tend to all have their own Twitter or X feeds. But for me, I have to listen to people like Joe that research stuff a lot like this, because it's not a platform that I've ever if I'm honest, I've never really engaged with that platform.
There's more influential people. You say you've got no customers on it. You have. You know, there's more influential people on there than you think.
When I say customers, I'm talking about I guess people that more recently than not I would have mixed with. If I said to them, what's their social media platform of choice, I think in the main, the majority of them wouldn't say X.
Yeah.
And just on that, do you think sometimes, and this is cross-platform, this is not just X, this is across more, do you think sometimes business leaders, CEOs, managing directors, look at some platforms and go, oh, we're not going on there, it's a bit silly? So I know some people like, oh, I shouldn't be on Instagram, I should only be on LinkedIn, I should only be on YouTube. Is that a good way of thinking, or should they have a more broader, open mind to all social media?
I guess you can't be on everything. That's the thing, isn't it? You have to. We talk about all of these platforms, and if we had unlimited time, we'd probably like all of them to a degree, or an element of all of them, and we'd be on all of them. But you can't, I don't think anybody has that. They just don't. It's impossible. You're going to gravitate towards the thing that you get the most comfort, stupidly, from, I guess, as in your spare time, your downtime, however you want to consume news and all the rest of it. What you think is giving you the most genuine news, and you'll go to whatever those are. I don't believe all of them are that, and I don't believe everybody would use all of them. I think there'd be selected ones.
Yeah,
Sorry, Joe.
For me, it depends who you are. We're clearly a media platform for the manufacturing sector. We have to be on them all. But I'm a big Gary Vaynerchuk fan, and he pretty much predicts the future accurately every single time. And he makes a really good point, and I've just made it a minute ago. He said, you do not know where these platforms are going to be in 12, 18 months' time. And there's been lots of businesses, not so much in the manufacturing sector, but in the B2C community, that someone changes an algorithm on Facebook, on X, whatever it might be, and they're gone, they disappear forever. So you do need to be ever present. The issue you've got is if you're a cutting tool sales guy, or you're a lady that sells CNC machine tools, it's about the here and the now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I need to turn this piece of metal into an invoice type thing. How do I do that? And I would guess most of these people are thinking, what's going to be the best chance of selling it? Clearly working with companies like us. But are they going to try and grow a presence on X? Probably not, because I'm not interested in 5 years' time. I need to sell this machine now. So
it's got to be always in their vision, I guess. But until
so
they
people,
see...
I'd say
short-sighted.
80% of your time, if not more, should be spent on LinkedIn, YouTube, number one, obviously Instagram, and then maybe 10% of your time should be spent, if those numbers add up, should be spent on some of these the fringe ones. But again, done correctly, Stuart Whitehead, exception on Twitter. He gets an incredible amount of engagement, but it's the hardest one to get that on.
Yeah, and I guess when you say the ones you should be on, YouTube versus those YouTube and LinkedIn are very different. YouTube you can go to watch the news, and you can go to watch all kinds of stuff. But there's a different element to the feeds.
I don't class YouTube as social media.
No, I know we've had this conversation before. Yeah, it's a search engine.
Well, the thing is, don't forget, YouTube is the only social media platform you can go on and watch videos without signing in.
Yeah. Good point.
So when you've got views on a video, that doesn't mean if we put a video on and somebody sells a machine through it, that actual view and that customer who's bought that machine might not even come up as a like or a comment because they're not even signed in.
Absolutely.
They just go on and use it as a search engine.
There's one thing I just want to mention briefly, which is really important about all of these things, and I know you want to touch on TikTok, but it's about personal brands versus a company brand. We've not mentioned this on any, and we've talked about
dangerous territory.
Well, do it as a social media overview.
This is what it is, because I follow some people that I see, and they talk vehemently about these personal brands, and I think personal brands are important. Everybody, has to be a personality to a sense to communicate with people and to transact and support service, whatever it might be. So everybody is a person. But I get mixed up, and I'm interested in your opinions on this, because I get mixed up in this kind of messaging between should everybody have a personal brand, or should it be about a company, and there's one particular person I follow completely out of this industry on social media, It's a female, and she's always on, and she comes up, and I watch her out of curiosity. She talks about building this personal brand. It's all about me. It's all about me, and if I will get more, and the business will grow. I think, what if you get hit by a bus tomorrow? What happens?
There is no business. Yeah.
That's what I don't get.
But I think there is a place for it, but I don't think there's
I agree.
So I don't think there's a place for.
But she would question
MTDCNC
bigger than the. She says it's bigger than. That's better and bigger than the company, and I
see
just
that.
don't
That's
get
where
it.
That's where to me the waters get muddied. Don't get me wrong. So MTD should have its own, and let's just talk about us because it's just the easiest way to go. MTD should have its brand. It has. Everybody knows MTD. Paul Jones should have his brand because the thing is, sometimes if you go to a business, you might be put off by trying to approach that business. But if I've seen you online, I've seen you're a friendly guy, you're a nice guy, I might approach you to then approach MTD. Yeah. But I don't feel like there can only be MTD Paul Jones. Yeah. There's got to be an MTD, a Paul Jones, a Joe Reynolds, a Lindsay Vickers, a Rowan, Easter Robinson. Yeah. It's all right to have a personal brand.
Yeah, I agree.
But it can't be. It shouldn't be bigger than the business brand, because the business is where your customer's going to end up.
That's what they're investing in. Some say they're investing in people, but they're not really, because a person could. It sounds awful, but a person could get hit by a bus.
The thing is,
well, from a business owner's perspective, I would want Tom's an employee of the company. He's a very valued member of the team, but Tom can take his personal brand and go somewhere else. That's a fact.
Yeah.
So basically, I want the team to have personal brands, big ones. But as a business owner, you have to you look after your company, because these people might leave. That's just the truth of the matter. But more important than that, your business has got to be sustainable. If I'm a machine tool company, I want all my team to have personal brands, but it all needs the time with the business, right? Otherwise, no one's got jobs. Yeah. We need to sell CNC machine tools. We need to sell cutting tools. We need to be omni-channel, because if Tom's only got one channel and something gets cancelled, you know what I mean? It's a real. What's the word? It's a difficult conversation.
Conundrum.
It's a conundrum. Thank you.
I don't think it is. I think
you want personal brands. You want personal brands, and you want to look after your staff. You want to retain your staff. Fortunately, touch wood, we've had a relatively good track record with that. It's important in our business, but it's all funneling into the same thing, isn't it? It's all. But
I think Paul's right there. Where yes, Paul's got to have his own personal brand. You've got to have your own personal brand, and I don't want to sound morbid about it, but yes, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and a customer isn't paying into you.
Exactly,
they're paying into MTD,
exactly.
But they may only pay into MTD because they've gone through you. Because they like you, they've known you for years, they've seen your content, they know if I want a video on a machine tool, he's worked in machine tools, he knows all about them. I've seen his videos reviewing other machine tools, he knows what he's talking about. That's your brand.
And that's an interesting point, and you're right, that someone invests in MTD, and if someone invests in MTD because of me, because of you, because of somebody else, that's fine. But where we have to educate as well is that if I do produce a video on a particular product and they want me to do that because of that particular reason, because they think that that's better, actually, if you looked on our channel and you looked at someone purchasing that product, they're not going to purchase it or look at it more because I did it or you did it or he did it. They're gonna be interested in what that product is. Yeah.
And that's where the MTD brand.
That's where the brand comes in. So sometimes there's a sway and there's an influence. Well, I've got to have this person to do this particular thing. Actually, in the cold light of day, it doesn't matter whether I'm presenting a new technology, you are, or somebody else is, because the reality is if someone finds that technology and they like it, they're going to inquire about it and buy it. And that's when the personal brand thing is fine. It's important. But it was just a question because I watched this thing, and you'll probably question why do I keep watching it? Because it amazes me. I think she's banging on.
I know exactly who you mean, and I don't agree with anything she says.
I think it's absolute. And again, this is the dross that comes out.
And by the way, I'd say that if I was an employee. If I wasn't an owner, if I was an employee, I still wouldn't agree with what she says.
Again, there's a time and a place for it. There's a place for it, but it shouldn't be what you put a magnifying glass on. It shouldn't. A personal brand should never be.
Well, a personal brand is fine if I'm an actor. Yeah. Right? If I'm an actor and everything I do is about me, I get employed as me to go and act. I get employed as, then it's me. It's my
What,
personal
Brad Pitt?
brand.
Isn't that what we said earlier?
Or is it Cess?
Cesspit.
Arm? Oh, there's too much
Yeah.
Colin coming out in this. But yeah, a personal brand. If it's about me, if I'm a golfer, if I'm a footballer, do you know what I mean? I know I play for a team, but if it's all about me in that particular instance, my personal brand then outweighs. Do you know? It's a different. Yeah.
But I tell you,
But again, personal brands, and we've already touched on this. We touched on this when we were talking about LinkedIn. Is the problem again with a business, with a company brand, that cannot be faked, because people can see that, they can do all their research into the company, they can see where it's come from, they can see that. The problem with a personal brand, if you don't know that person, so if Joe puts on, he is a lead accountant. Now, I know Joe, and I know he isn't a lead accountant, but how does Fred down the road not know that? Or if you say you're a top baker,
Yeah.
now I know you're not a top, but again, personal brands can be shaped for people to see you in a way that may not actually be true. So again, you've got to be careful. If you're investing in somebody's personal brand, how do you know exactly, apart from what? If you invest in me, in my personal brand, I could tell you anything.
Yeah.
I've run that 9-axis machine. I've not even seen one. But you don't know that. So again, people have got to be wary
You told
of...
us you had in that interview.
Yeah.
You told us you had in that interview.
But
people have got to be careful.
Yeah.
Where a personal brand is, it's a lot easier to fact check.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to fact check. You can see where MTDs come from, as if we're talking about us, because obviously it's just the easiest way. You can see from where we were to where we are now. You can see what we've done. You can see our growth. You can see we've grown because of whatever reasons. But as a personal brand, I can tell you anything I want you to know for you to either hire me, use me, whatever. So again, personal brands versus company brands, people have got to be careful with the personal brand aspect of it, where a company brand is a lot easier to fact check. That would be my way of thinking about it.
do you know the elephant in the room?
What's that?
10 years' time, the biggest influencers won't even be human beings.
Yeah.
No, there will be AI.
Yeah. You go on Instagram in particular now. There's people with millions and millions and millions of followers, predominantly women. Absolutely stunning. They're not human beings. It's an AI.
Yeah, they've done that test, haven't they? There's one on.
Yeah, but actually, the video you're looking at now is so good, you don't know it's not a human. It's not a human, and so you will have L'Oreal, Nike, or whatever invest in shed loads of money in people that don't exist. And again, that's where it comes back.
Absolutely crazy.
Back to brand. You know, when we talk Alexa, when we talk all these in-house AIs, if you say order me a pizza, they're going to send whatever pizza they make most money on. But if you sell one Domino's pizza, they're going to send you a Domino's pizza. So it always comes back to a large overarching brand, in my opinion.
Now, Joe, I think we've spoken enough now about Facebook, Instagram, personal brands. There's one more thing we need to speak about, and if we don't, I think Paul's going to blow up over there, because I think this has been the subject he's wanted to talk about all day. So, Paul, come on, tell us your experiences and why do you enjoy TikTok so much?
I think let's say it's the more light-hearted stage of the podcast.
Elliot, who's our director today, he's been half asleep in there. We've mentioned TikTok and he's gone. He's awake, right? Right, TikTok. It's right up my street.
That just shows it because I mean, listen, TikTok to me, once I found it as a great source of just on-demand entertainment. That, you know, you can scroll through Netflix, the TV, if you're looking for time out and you just want to just see the things that you like, then TikTok delivers that on demand. And I can sit there with my phone of an evening, whenever it might be, and I'll scroll through TikTok and it just delivers me with, you know, I'll see comedians that I haven't watched for years, like Mike Reed, Bernard Manning, you know, there's all these, you know, all these names you probably are too young for, Tom. But and then it'll show me some quite personal stories about people that may have gone through things in life that I might have, and then my feed will be tailored to similar people's stories. So I just become engaged in this continual sort of kind of personal side of my life, just in enjoyment in stuff that is there that I enjoy without having to go and navigate everywhere to find it. It delivers me with things that I like, and I find that is so, that's something they've done really, really well in my mind. It is giving me the things I can sit there for I've spoke to a customer, about 6 months ago. He had to delete it off his phone. He just said he would sit there and it would just be, he would sit there for hours just watching, and he's got rid of it in the end because it just consumed too much of his time. I've got, I can restrict myself. I've got self-control over how long I spend on it, but I do find as a platform, personally, it's something that I enjoy to use. So business-wise, I think it's very similar to Instagram. I think people want to see machining footage. But I say that, also a lot of our interviews that we cut up and put on TikTok do really, really well. So it's about the demographic shifting towards TikTok and people thinking, I'm going to go on TikTok to watch some MTD stuff because they can now. And, we're probably well ahead of the game compared to a lot of people on that front.
One of the things with TikTok I think they've done better than any other platform is categorization of putting everything in the right place. Like you said, you can look at one thing and then it will, say you watch a footballer, you could literally sit there for 40 minutes scrolling up and it will just show you football stuff.
Yeah.
Where even if you're on Instagram or YouTube, you start on we always call it the YouTube rabbit hole. Yeah. You'll start on footballers, then you'll see funny animals, and then you're onto cars, and YouTube just sort of you're coming down the pipeline, and YouTube's doing this. Where TikTok is it delivers you exactly what you want over and over again.
And it amazes me because sometimes it delivers me with exactly that from someone that lives in bloody West Yorkshire it's got 2 likes on this particular post. He's got no followers, yet the relevance of the content he's telling me about or I'm watching is everything that I would want to see. Yet, so it's given him almost a level playing field compared to somebody very famous that's got millions of followers to put his message across, and actually that's more interesting to me than them. And it's very, very clever.
But it's really good, like you said, with that's great, and it's really good at personal stuff. But on the flip side, it's really good for business as well, because if I go on there and I put, I don't know, say we've got a job next week, and obviously we always do a bit of research before we get there. I don't want to turn up and go, what it is. I can go on TikTok and put that, just call it a machine. I can go in there and put that machine name in, and it will just give me an abundance of videos on that one product. And it's just, and like you said, I can watch a video that's got 80,000 likes, it's got millions of views. I scroll up, the next one has got 1 like.
Yeah, I know.
But that video to me is as beneficial as the one before it. Yeah. And again, it's really great because you get the high polished, perfect video next to some guy who's just filming on his phone.
Well, I always used to watch the ones. I watched one once where these guys were golfing ones came up and these guys put this fake snake. They tag it to the back of the belt or something, and these guys are swinging their golf. Oh, Dave, snake!
I had a belly ache
they're running off, and then the next one up's the same thing. Somebody else's snake, and then then it drifted on to guys that drive past the golf course, and these golfers are just about to tee off, and they blow off this massive horn. Yeah. And these guys, it's just.
I'm listening with great interest, really, with TikTok, because genuinely, take AI away at the moment, because we're not quite sure what that's going to do to social media. I would be amazed, absolutely amazed, if it's not the biggest platform in the world in the next 5 years, in every single measure. Not downloads probably, but in terms of transactional. People buy clothes on Instagram now, but that's nothing.
Well, you've got a
compared
TikTok
to
shop, haven't you now?
TikTok shop, yeah.
TikTok shop, along with Amazon, not the current Amazon as we know it, but what they're working on in the background, will destroy the high street, which is a bad thing, but it will. That is a fact. But it's interesting when I look at it. Obviously, ByteDance own it, heavily backed by the Chinese government. Unlimited finance, unlimited money. Interesting what happens in America with the ban. If that doesn't happen, it will be the biggest platform by every measure within 5 to 10 years.
You talk about that, and do you think TikTok shop, because I've got home to parcels. Where's this come from? Oh, I bought off TikTok.
I'm waiting for 2 right now. I'm not fibbing. I got one.
What, one's a comb and one's a
Do you know? I can't even think what one is.
But
One's like a light board, and everyone watching this on TikTok. So I've seen that. It's like a light board. It's like £2 or something. It's a Christmas stocking for the kids.
so you're
and
hoping the
what's
kids
other
don't
one?
watch this before Christmas, just saying.
Oh, and the other one, you put it over your face, and it's got like a mask, and it's got speakers in it, and it plays like music. You know what I mean? So it helps you get to sleep.
Oh, wow.
I'm digressing somewhat, but anyway. But if you go to TikTok shop, everyone sells the same thing, but it is changing the
But this
landscape
brings
of
me to a
social
point.
media.
I'm not just asking you what you're buying off TikTok shop, Joe. I don't really just want to get. I'm not asking what's in your basket.
Yeah.
But it does actually bring me to a point though, of if people are just scrolling up, and seeing something and buying it because us as a race, we're quite impulsive. If you see something and it's really, really easy to buy because you click on it, Apple Pay, done. Done.
Yeah.
Is there a place then for, and again I'm going to say it, for like tooling manufacturers, work holding manufacturers, people just went, oh, like that, bang, paid for it, ordered. No, I don't have to go onto a website. I don't have to ring a distributor. I don't have to ring a salesperson. I can watch a video and go, actually, that's doing exactly what I need it to.
It will happen. It will happen.
It will happen, but it does. In my mind, it depends on the value and the cost of that particular purchase. I mean, I could take you back to 2005 when I was working at a machine tool company, and they tried to change the way spares were purchased, and it all had to be done automatically. There was no human involved from a telephone call. It was all done online, and it didn't work. Just because engineers wanted to pick up the phone and they wanted to say, oh, is that part right? Are you sure that spare part? That's going to cost me 450 quid. I want to speak to a human. I want to see, you know. I think there's an element to what we do that may, you know,
there might be a price point.
Might be a price point.
Maybe 20, 30, 40 pound end mills. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
And especially if you've used them before.
Yeah.
If it's the same aluminium cutter you've used over and over again, and you go, like you said, Joe, especially if you're on iPhone, click, done, ordered. It's there next day.
But what they do better than any platform, without question, undisputed, is that algorithm. I was in a hotel last night. I wanted an early night, and I'm just sat there in the bed, scrolling TikTok, and it just delivers the video you want to watch.
And hours just fly by, don't they?
You don't know you want to watch it. It's like Paul Smith, a comedian. Don't know if you know him. Absolutely hilarious, this guy. But so now it knows I like Paul Smith. So that's dead easy algorithm. But Christ, there's other people I've never heard of exactly like Paul Smith. The same sort of like humour. Yeah. And then I followed the American politics really closely of late, as lots of people have. It's all that. Yeah. And then the farming thing, we know with the won't get into politics, but what Labour have done to farmers and all the rest of it. There's loads of that on my. It never serves me with dross. It's always really relevant content. And I think if you're a business and you're not on TikTok, I think it's a colossal mistake.
Well, I was just about to say,
we've got 250,000 followers, and that's because it's new. So if you start this in 5 years' time, it'll be impossible to get followers, like all the platforms. Yeah. So I think it's a big mistake not being on TikTok.
But do you think? And this is just something
I've
thought
average age 26 as of 6 months ago, so it's probably more like 28 now.
But I've just listening to you two talk about it. Something's come to mind that may be good for business owners. It might change nothing. But if you're not on there, compared to if you're on there, like you said, you can be watching Paul Smith videos, you can be watching cat videos, whatever, and then you said, this has just shown me a video I didn't even know I wanted to watch, but I watched it. So you could be watching anything, and all of a sudden a machine pops up. You don't know you want to watch that, but you watch it, and all of a sudden that machine now is in the back of your mind. The next time you want to purchase something, and next time you're looking for a machine.
And in some senses, that's why it's great for our clients to be on our feed, because if someone is watching a machining video, they pretty much know that if they get a video on our feed, the algorithm is so tight that story or that video will come up. So I mean, I think it's going to play a bit. It's certainly in our plans in a big way for 2025. It is now, as Joe said. So
it's a good time to get on. I remember the first I was out at IMTS. Not this one, the last one. So 22 would that be?
Yeah, 22. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. 2022, and it was my second. It was my second Instagram post, and everyone has seen this video. Everyone's picked it put it on their own social media. It's the metal part.
Nobody
one.
actually knows who the original content creator of that was.
Well,
which was actually Joe.
I'm holding the camera. I choreographer.
That's a dance.
I made it happen. And I remember I put it on there and just out of the blue, and just literally look at your phone, it says like plus 99, which is like the most, and you look at it, it's like 1,000 followers, 500 followers, all from this video. And I can't find it now. Well, how do I
You're looking for Instagram for a start. You clicked on every profile.
My second ever post, 5.4 million views. I posted it again. I got 300, so it's very clever. It's very clever.
I know.
And
talking of that, just one more point before we start to wrap this up. Instagram's brought a new feature in now, which really will help businesses and us, where they now if you put that video, if you'd have put that video on Instagram now, and it'd have had your 5.2 million views, and then I stole it and I posted that video, Instagram's algorithm now knows that video isn't mine and actually gives you the recognition for it.
Post away, please.
So if a business is putting on good content, and we're putting our YouTube content on, and it does really well, and people start to share it, then they're all still focused and pointed back to us. So it's a good time to have your, like you said, Paul. It's a really, really good time to have your content on our channel, because as a leading media specialist, we get a lot of our content stolen. And I say stolen, but it's a lot of people use it to try and promote other things. They try and use it to help their pages grow, and but now they can't do that. So now we want people to take our content. We want these random Instagram pages who are trying to take our, because that's just more people getting funneled back to us. So your videos will get more and more and more views, more likes, more impressions, because everyone's going to be pointed back to the original creator, which will be us.
And I guess it comes back to one final point really in all of this, is that, you know, growing your own, if you're trying to achieve that sort of growth as an individual or a company, then you need to leverage people that have already done it and got it.
Who's that?
You didn't ask me for my final words.
Do you know what this is? I was just about saying anything else to wrap this up, guys, and I think you've just took me for that one, Paul. So, Joe, I'm not picking on you this time, but any more words of wisdom to wrap this up?
Sorry for my negativity, but no, joke aside, it's real life, isn't it? All these platforms have got good things and bad things, but to me, it's always about the same thing. It's always add extreme levels of value, produce world-class content, whether that's writing, video, whatever your strength is, position it in the right people, learn the algorithms. And if you are going to outsource your social media, speak to you, Tom, or me, or Paul, one of the team.
And you mentioned earlier about there being an elephant in the room. Well, that's you.
That's another thing for your wife to ask you about. But other than that, well, gentlemen, thank you very much for your time today. It's a pleasure, and it's, as most people know, it's a rarity to get both of you two in the same room and actually be able to ring or talk to Paul and he actually answer. That's a good start. So it's been great to have you both in the room, and I'd just like to say, if anybody at home who's listened to this or watched this need any advice or need any help, then we are here. We are here to help you grow. We are here to help you succeed. And if you need anything at all, just get in contact with us. And gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you.
Cheers, Tom.
Thank you.